The night air clung to the city like a damp shroud, casting long shadows across the deserted streets. In alleys that cradled ancient buildings, flickering streetlights cast a golden glow, as if hesitant to extinguish the dying embers of day's last breath. In the city's darkest hours, when streets are empty and lights are low, one figure emerges from the shadows. The midnight postman walks alone, his boots scuffling against the pavement as he gathers the weight of unspoken words. His sack is a canvas of whispered secrets, each letter folded with care, awaiting its designated destination. With every step, he collects the fragments of our inner lives, apologies left unsaid, promises broken, and confessions hidden away. The postman knows the language of silence, the cadence of regret, and the rhythm of longing. He gathers these unspoken truths from the corners of the world, where they hide in plain sight, waiting to be delivered. In his hands, the midnight postman holds the power to set free the words that have been bottled up, to bring light to the shadows that haunt us. With a gentle touch, he unfolds each letter, releasing the emotions that have been locked away. The postman knows that these messages are not just words on paper, but keys to understanding ourselves and others. As he walks through the night, his footsteps echo with the whispers of our deepest desires. He carries the weight of our unspoken thoughts, the ache of our unseen wounds, and the hope of our unfulfilled dreams. The midnight postman is a guardian of the unsaid, a messenger of the heart's deepest longings. In this silent world where darkness reigns, the postman brings forth the light of connection, a beacon that shines brightly in the darkness. He reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles, that our stories are intertwined, and that the words we've yet to speak can be the bridge that sets us free. The midnight postman's journey is our own, a quest to find the courage to express ourselves authentically, to let go of the weight of unspoken truths, and to discover the power of connection in the darkness. I've been lying awake for what feels like an eternity, the clock on my nightstand mocking me with its steady beat. 2047 a.m., the hour of countless wakeful nights, when the darkness outside seems to seep into every pore of my being. I toss and turn, trying to shake off the familiar sense of restlessness that's become a permanent companion. In the silence of his apartment he lay awake, the city outside a distant hum. His mind was a maze of unspoken words, each one a brick in the wall of his isolation. He had always been the one who kept to himself, afraid to shatter the fragile peace that came with being invisible. The insomniac's eyes locked onto the folded envelope, trembling with anticipation as they hesitated at the threshold. The midnight postman stood just beyond the reach of the porch light, a knowing glint in his eye that seemed to hold 1,000 secrets. The night air was alive with possibility as our insomniac friend finally found the courage to speak their truth. With trembling hands, they handed over the last letter, its contents a poignant apology for past betrayals. The midnight postman's eyes, like dark pools of understanding, gazed back at them. As you drift off to sleep tonight, imagine the midnight postman walking through your city, gathering letters just for you. What secrets have you kept hidden, locked away in a world of what-ifs? Perhaps it's a message of love that never made it to the one who needed it most. Maybe it's a promise you broke with yourself or someone else. Whatever it is, know that the midnight postman has been watching over you, waiting for the right moment to bring it to light. In this quiet hour, where darkness was not just the absence of light but a palpable presence, the city's inhabitants had retreated to their own private worlds. Yet, on certain nights, when the clock struck midnight and the world outside seemed to hold its collective breath, something stirred. And then, suddenly, there's a knock at the door, soft, deliberate, and unmistakably gentle, the kind of knock that says, "I'm here and I care." My heart skips a beat as I fumble for the lamp, the soft glow illuminating the dark space between me and the door. As a child, he watched as his parents' arguments simmered just below the surface, their love for each other, a toxic mix of resentment and longing. He learned early on to observe, not participate, to collect the pieces of themselves like a puzzle without ever quite fitting together. They took a step forward, the silence between them thickening like a shroud. The insomniac's hand reached out trembling and touched the envelope. It felt strangely warm to the touch, as if it had been waiting just for them. As he took his leave, a sense of weight lifted, and the insomniac felt the soft whisper of connection in their chest. It was as if the world had been holding its breath, waiting for this moment of reckoning. The midnight postman's silence was not quiet, but a gentle reminder that sometimes it takes the courage to let go. Think about the weight you've carried on your own, the things you've whispered in the dark hoping no one would hear. Now, imagine a soft knock on your door, a folded envelope with your name on it. Would you open it? Would you read what's inside? Postman emerged from the shadows, his footsteps silent as he navigated the darkened streets. His mailbag slung over one shoulder, a faint hum of activity emanated from within. The soft rustle of envelopes, the whispered secrets of those who had waited too long to express themselves. I approach it slowly, my hand extended in invitation, and that's when I see him. The midnight postman, tall, slender, with eyes that seem to hold 1,000 midnights within them. He stands before me, his presence both calming and unnerving at the same time. He grew up with a hunger for connection, but also a deep-seated fear that it would consume him whole. What if he couldn't be loved in return? What if his words were met with silence, or worse, rejection? The thought of being vulnerable, of letting someone see the cracks in his armor, was too much to bear. "What would you have me do?" they whispered. their voice barely audible over the sound of their own ragged breathing. With every step away from their doorstep, our protagonists felt the shadows of doubt and fear recede. They realized that the midnight postman's deliveries were never just about mail. They were about the unspoken truths we hold within us. The whispered apologies, the silent thanks, and the unsent love letters all became a testament to the power of vulnerability. The midnight postman doesn't care if you don't send a letter. He just wants to give you the chance to let go of what's been holding you back, to set free the things that might change everything. As he walked, the city sounds, the distant rumble of traffic, the muted sighs of sleeping buildings, blended into a gentle melody that echoed the beating of hearts. It was as if the night itself was alive, whispering truths to those willing to listen. He holds out an envelope, its surface unadorned except for my own scrawled handwriting. My heart skips another beat as I take it from him, my fingers brushing against his. There's a spark of electricity in that touch, like the very air between us has been charged with possibility. Years went by, and the mask remained firmly in place. Friends came and went, but he never let himself truly open up. He collected their smiles like souvenirs, their laughter like a soundtrack playing on repeat in his mind. But with each passing year, the weight of his unspoken thoughts grew heavier, until it felt like an anchor dragging him under. The postman's gaze never wavered. "You can send them," he said softly, his words like a gentle breeze on a summer's night. "Let the world see the truth you've been hiding." As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, our insomniac friend felt the warmth of new beginnings. They knew that the midnight postman's gift was not just about their own story, but about the countless others who had been waiting for an ear to listen and a heart to understand. The world, once shrouded in darkness, now seemed bathed in a soft golden light, full of possibility and promise. Take a moment tonight before bed to think about your own unspoken truths. What are they? What would it take for you to share them with the world? The midnight postman is always watching, waiting for you to be brave enough to let him carry your message forward. In this nocturnal world where the ordinary and mundane was suspended, something extraordinary occurred. A connection was forged between the city's inhabitants and the unseen forces that shaped their lives. And it was on these nights, under the silvery glow of streetlights and the watchful eyes of the midnight postman, that the unspoken truths began to surface, the apologies, the thank yous, and the words left unsaid in the silence of the night. I opened the envelope, and my eyes scanned the contents before me. The words are mine, but they're not mine, at least, not yet. They're the things I never said out loud, the apologies I never typed into the void of cyberspace, the thank yous that lived only in my head. And now, as the darkness closed in around him, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was where he'd ended up, lost, alone, and still unable to find his voice. The midnight postman's arrival seemed like a cruel joke, a reminder that some messages were too hard to send, even when they meant more than life itself. But as they gazed deeper into the postman's eyes, they felt the weight of their unspoken truths bearing down upon them. The apology to their estranged mother, the thank you note to the one who'd gotten away, the letter to the person who'd broken their heart. All of it swirled together like a maelstrom in their mind. In the silence that followed, our protagonists smiled, knowing they were no longer alone. For in the unlikeliest of places, they had found a guardian of sorts, a midnight postman who brought not just mail, but hope, connection, and the unspoken truths we all need to hear. They're the things I've kept hidden, locked away behind a facade of confidence and control. But here they are, on this piece of paper, like a key has been turned to unlock a door to a part of myself I never knew existed. But as he lay there, something shifted inside him. A spark of curiosity flickered to life, and for the first time in years he wondered, what if this was his chance to finally say something? What if the midnight postman's arrival marked a turning point, a moment when the weight of his secrets no longer felt like too much to bear? They thought of the potential pain, the hurt they might inflict on others if they spoke out. The fear that had held them back for so long began to rise like a tide about to consume them whole. My mind reels as I read the words, each one a revelation, each one a confession that echoes with the weight of what could have been. Should I send them? Should I let the midnight postman carry them away forever? And yet, the postman's presence seemed to anchor them to the moment. They felt the world holding its breath, waiting with bated breath for their decision. I look up at him, and for the first time in my life I truly see him. He's not just a figure from myth or legend, he's a guardian of the unsaid, a keeper of the secrets that we hide even from ourselves. With shaking hands, they reached out and pulled open the envelope. The words spilled out before them, like a confession on the wind. As they read, their voice rose in a crescendo of emotion. The pain, the regret, the longing, and in that moment I know what I have to do. The postman stood there, unmoving, as if waiting for permission to disappear into the night. The silence between them grew heavier still, until it felt like a living, breathing thing that pulsed with life. In this moment, the insomniac knew they had two paths before them. One led to the light of truth, the other to the darkness of secrecy. And as they stood there, frozen in indecision, the world